What's going on, guys? Today I'm starting something new on my channel. Normally I do a lot of just random gaming with different things, but today I really want to focus on fixing the state of college football, especially with the conferences. Conference realignment has some weird stuff going on right now, and the ACC is probably one of the weirdest that we have right now. Looking at it right now, I mean, you see we got teams like California, SMU, and Stanford. Now, I can see a slight argument for SMU being that they're in Texas, and Texas sits on the Gulf, and the Gulf is part of the Atlantic. It's a huge stretch there. So, in fact, I'm probably going to end up removing them altogether, along with a few teams here that really just don't contribute and are. We need a fix. We definitely need a fix here. There's not a lot that I would fix here, just taking a few teams out, putting a few teams in. So right off the rip, I want to keep Boston College in there. I feel like they fit that Atlantic goal there. Cal definitely needs to go. So we're going to move Cal back to the Pac-12, and this should fix the Pac-12. This should almost guarantee that the Pac-12 gets a fix there. And instead, I'm going to go over here to the well, no. Trying to remember where they're at. I'm going to bring UConn in. And the reason why I'm bringing UConn in is because UConn really fits the bill of being a team that should play in the ACC. One, they are a basketball program through and through. They do have a good football team, and they've beaten a few of the ACC teams that generally have a decent season. I mean, they've beaten North Carolina a handful of times. I know they've beaten Duke. Again, a stretch there saying Duke usually has a good season. Duke is actually a really good team in recent years. Confusing to me because growing up watching the ACC, Duke was always like bottom of the barrel. You know, you didn't want to have Duke anywhere near you because they were just it made you look too good. It made you look too good when you beat them. Coming up next, I want to say that I would like to remove SMU again, and I would put them back. I would put them in the Big 12 if anything. SMU just does not fit the bill here for a conference. For the conference, again, it's a huge stretch to say that since they touched the Gulf, that's technically Atlantic. I would rather just stick with something that's on the coast, and we're going to go to Conference USA for this one. And well, that got changed up as well. I don't want to bring Delaware in there. Liberty's been decent, but not. I don't think that would be a good mix. We're not taking Notre Dame in there, even though they kind of have an uneasy alliance. Nothing from the Mid-American. Let's go, in fact, to the Sun Belt Conference here, where we've got a couple of teams here that I'm really kind of wanting to bring in. Coastal Carolina, maybe, but James Madison would bring another Virginia school in, and James Madison's been fairly decent. Troy would be another. Well, Troy, maybe. They're in Alabama, so it's not too much on the Atlantic side there. I definitely don't want to have this become like another spread out. So we'll go James Madison. I feel like James Madison could definitely fit the mix here, and we'll move them in. All right. Next up, I'm going to go down the list here and start looking at some of the teams I feel like maybe don't need to be here anymore. Wake Forest, they flip-flop to being a good team and a bad team. Wake Forest has been in the ACC for a long time, and I would probably put them more. I'd probably drop them down to the Sun Belt, to be honest. They would do well in the Sun Belt, I feel. And instead of them, I would probably bring in. I wouldn't bring in App State. App State has not been great as of lately. They've had a few good seasons, but I would definitely want to bring in someone who I feel like could benefit from being in the ACC, and would probably bring some energy to it. And that would be East Carolina. I would bring East Carolina in, swap a North Carolina school for a North Carolina school. Just works so well together. And I feel like East Carolina, being that they've actually played a few ACC teams and just outright, brought some energy to it. So they're, now we've got a few schools here up and down the East Coast. UConn for sure would be a good fit. I'm going to leave Syracuse in. Again, leaving Boston College and Clemson in. I know a lot of people want Clemson to move to like the SEC or, any other conference, Big Ten. But I think they fit well. Speaking of which, we're going back to the Big Ten now, and I'm going to bring back Maryland. Uh, Maryland was in the ACC for a long time, left for the Big Ten. It hasn't been a perfect fit for them. They've had some success, but they've also never really met up to that standard. So we're going to go ahead and move them back in the ACC, and that kind of takes them out of the Big Ten, which, again, as I continue the series, if this series does well, I will continue to update the Dynasty, update the conferences as need be. Florida State. I would leave Florida State in. Florida State was independent for a long time. Definitely saw a lot of success early on in their ACC career. But we need a Florida team here that would definitely benefit the ACC. I feel like Florida State really just needs to stay. Boston College, again, I'm leaving them in. They're a good fit for the ACC, being that they're an Atlantic Coast Conference team. You got a great rivalry here between them and Clemson. The McFadden O'Rourke Trophy is one of my favorites to watch given away because it's the old-timey helmets. I really dig that. Duke, again, I'm leaving them in because Duke has seen some success lately, and I think underneath their coach and their staff, it's been just a benefit to stay in the ACC for them. Again, brought in East Carolina, Florida State, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is one of those I want to leave in because of the rivalry here with Clemson. It's a very good rivalry. It's an old rivalry. So you definitely want to give them a little bit of fan service here. Keep them in for a little bit, just kind of keep that rivalry going. And two, Georgia Tech has been dominant in the ACC recently with Coach Key really doing what he has to do to keep them up. Brought James Madison and Louisville. Louisville's kind of a hard one for me because one, they have a lot of success in the ACC. They've been really good as of late. However, I would probably move them over to something that fits them a little more. I would bring them into the Big Ten, and then I would swap them for Rutgers. Rutgers does not do well here, but I feel like bringing them over to the ACC may give them a better chance at having some strength. A Kentucky team in the ACC works, but at the same time, I feel like Louisville would probably have a better chance to recruit being in the Big Ten, where they could actually focus on, getting more from the Northeast and from the early parts of the Midwest. Getting into some of those areas like Ohio and places where they're actually really close. So taking Louisville out, I know that kind of gets rid of a small rivalry that's been brewing between these two. That takes out, them and Pitt facing each other. But, it would work so well. Another team that I would probably move out, to be honest, I'm going to leave these two in here because they've been, it fits the ACC narrative here. Stanford's got to go, though. We got to get rid of Stanford, bring them back to the Pac-12. The Pac-12 is growing a little bit as of recently. And we're gonna move through this list here and take a look and see who we could bring in. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm gonna bring in anybody from the SEC. SEC just is a happy family right there. Vanderbilt would probably be a maybe, but they're Tennessee, so I don't know. Coming into the Sun Belt Conference, this would be more of a move up thing. And I really have a couple of teams here. Like I said, I moved Wake Forest over to here. There's a couple of blank spots here, but I don't want to pull anybody from the Sun Belt. Florida Atlantic, Charlotte is not. These two really don't hit my radar as being good for the ACC. USF would probably be a good fit, but I don't know if they would. There was a time USF was pretty dominant, and Central Florida UCF would be good too. But let's go back to Conference USA. We'll look in there and see who we got that might be good. Nobody there really. UCF might be a better fit there than taking in. In fact, let's put them in as our third Florida school, because we've got, let's see, that's 4, 8, 12, 16, 18 teams. All right, so now I've got to kind of figure something out here to kind of make this feel like a little better. This is a good conference setup so far. Pitt stays in. I want to leave Pitt in just because they throw a monkey wrench in a lot of people's plans. I remember when they did that to Clemson back in 2015, and it made Clemson kind of scramble a little bit. I would probably move Miami. Miami's seen too much they see a lot of success in there, but I feel like Miami really needs a conference that's going to make it shine. Kind of brings a little sunshine into 1, 4, 8, 12, 16, 17. We'll go ahead and move them over. I feel like Miami would do better here. And the reason why I say that is because you've got a lot of big teams here. They used to play a lot of these teams, and I feel like Miami fits well. Now, again, I'm going to move through this. The American Conference, I'm pretty much going to leave as is. It's kind of a happy family right there. There's not a whole lot that really affects it so much. I would probably change that later, but okay, so the American, I'm going to just say is kind of set where it is. I don't see any changes that are needed there. Again, with the ACC, I feel like this is probably going to be the better setup here. We got more Atlantic Coast Conference teams, less of those like travel teams that are going to take you like across the country, which does not fit the Atlantic Coast. I get it, they brought them in because they wanted to expand, but I think they should have expanded this way. Bring in another Florida school, take out a Florida school. Miami, I like Miami in the ACC, but at the same time, I feel like they would be better in something like the Big Ten, where they can get Big Ten money and kind of shine as Miami is. There's a I liked them when they were brought in. I thought it was going to be fun. I thought they'd do well. They've had success recently under coach Mario Cristobal, but again, I feel like this setup here may be the best setup. Again, just my preferences here. You can agree with me, disagree with me. Let me know in the comments what you think. If there's teams that I missed, if there's teams you think I should have added, if there's teams I think I added that probably don't belong, teams I removed that you think should have stayed. Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts. But anyway, guys, that's it for today's video. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, smash that like button. If you are new to the channel, haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and click on that bell icon, guys, because that'll keep you up to date with when I go live, when I put out community posts, when I put out content. Guys, I want to take this time to say thank you to some amazing people who have supported my channel through everything. These are my members. Again, there's a Gundam theme here because I do a little Gundam building. Guys, it's anywhere from 99 cents up to $5.99 a month, and when you become a member, you unlock some amazing perks. Want to know what those perks are? Check the join button down below, or just hit that join button. I don't know where I was going with that, but anyway, guys, that's it for today's video. I want to thank you so much for watching. Y'all be safe, be amazing. Much love to you all, and we will see you in the next video.